Okay, let's get into this. Have you ever, started an exercise plan, really hopeful, maybe aiming for weight loss or getting healthier, but, well, it just didn't stick?
Uh-huh. It happens all the time.
Even when you know it's supposed to be good for you, maybe even after a doctor's warning, it just feels like this huge battle. Like you need superhuman willpower or some magic workout routine.
Right. And it's frustrating because the knowledge is there, but the follow-through, that's the hard part.
Exactly. But what if the reasons we think we should exercise, those common goals, are actually part of the problem? What if they're setting us up to fail?
Well, that's the core idea in the book we're looking at today. It really flips the script on motivation for physical activity.
It does. It's based on science, on real experiences, and it challenges that conventional wisdom that, frankly, leaves a lot of us feeling discouraged.
It moves away from those traditional drivers that just don't seem to work for keeping people active consistently, for life.
So, our aim here is really to unpack the insights from this book. We want to get why the usual advice often falls short and explore this different framework, one that's about making movement feel, well, good, sustainable, maybe even joyful.
And just quickly, for those of you who really like to chew on these ideas, maybe reflect a bit deeper on concepts from a book like this one. Our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments, uses AI to analyze book insights. It's designed to spark that kind of critical thinking and personal reflection.
Good to know. Okay, so let's start with the problem. The book identifies these wrong whys. What are they typically?
Usually they're those big, distant goals. Things like losing a specific amount of weight, preventing some disease, way down the road, looking a certain way, or just this vague idea of needing to be healthy.
And why are those wrong, according to the book? Why don't they work for the long haul?
Because they disconnect the doing from the feeling. The focus is all on a future outcome. So the activity itself right now doesn't feel relevant or rewarding. It feels like a chore you have to get through.
Ah, so it's too much about the destination, not the journey itself.
Precisely. And that fuels what the book calls the vicious cycle of failure. You set these big, maybe unrealistic outcome goals.
Like losing 20 pounds by summer or running a marathon with no training.
Right. And when you don't see results fast enough or it feels really hard, you get discouraged. The activity itself starts to feel like medicine or punishment.
Yeah.
And because you dislike the process, naturally you stop doing it.
That sounds so familiar. Like the story of Jack in the book, got the health scare, joined the gym, hired the trainer, the nutritionist.
Yeah, did all the right things.
But still couldn't make it stick. Or Tanya, who actually liked moving at first, but then the focus shifted entirely to weight loss and all those negative feelings just took over.
Exactly. Those stories show how our meaning, the unconscious story we tell ourselves about exercise, gets poisoned when it's only tied to those external future goals. It becomes negative.
And we try to push through that negativity with willpower, right? Just grit your teeth and do it.
That's what we're told. But the book dives into the science, explaining that willpower, or self-control, it's like a muscle. It gets tired.
It's a finite resource.
Yes. You use it up all day making decisions, resisting temptations. By the evening, when it might be time to exercise, your willpower tank might just be empty.
Like those studies mentioned, where people who had to resist eating cookies first did worse on a later task requiring self-control.
Exactly. Or even brain scans showing activity decreasing in certain areas after using self-control. It shows there's a real physiological limit.
So trying to run a lifelong habit on a resource that runs out every day, it's not a great strategy.
Not sustainable at all. It's like trying to power your house with a small AA battery.
And if the activity itself feels unpleasant, like that shot at the doctor's office you mentioned earlier, you endure it, maybe, but you sure don't look forward to it. You want to avoid it.
That negative association is key. It shapes our meaning of movement. And that meaning comes from everywhere, our childhood, what we see in the media, our family. It often frames exercise as this necessary evil.
Like the client in the book who actually resented her husband for enjoying running, because for her, exercise just meant struggle and obligation.
It's powerful stuff, often operating below our conscious awareness.
So the shift the book proposes is moving from those wrong whys to finding your right whys. What makes a why right?
Right. Whys are personal. They're compelling to you right now. They're tied to the immediate positive experiences you get from moving. It's about reframing movement from a chore you have to do to a gift you get to give yourself.
A gift. I like that. Is there research showing this shift
Oh,
works?
absolutely. The book cites studies finding that when people's main motivation is health or weight loss, those wrong whys, they tend to have less autonomous motivation. That's the internal drive, the want to.
And more of the should motivation.
Exactly. More controlling motivation driven by guilt or pressure.
Well,
One study showed about 30% less autonomous and 15% more controlling motivation for the health weight group compared to those focused on, say, stress relief or just feeling good.
wow, that's a big difference. So the type of motivation really matters.
Hugely. It's not just that you have a reason, but what that reason is and how it feels.
And the book even suggests that mixing motivations, like having both internal and external reasons, can sometimes backfire. That seems odd.
It does seem counterintuitive, yeah.
Yeah.
But research, like that West Point study mentioned, found that cadets who had both internal reasons, like genuinely wanting to be there, and external ones, like career benefits, were actually less likely to stick it out than those primarily driven by the internal stuff.
So the external reasons somehow diluted the internal ones.
It seems they can compete, creating a kind of internal conflict or watering down the pure intrinsic drive.
Okay. So we understand the problem with wrong whys, the limits of willpower, and the need for right whys linked to our personal meaning. The next step in the book's framework is awareness. They call it exercising exercise. What's that about?
It's about really tuning in and getting honest about your current relationship with movement. How do you really feel about it? Do you dread it? Do you believe there's only one right way to do it, usually intense? Are you doing things you hate just because you think you should?
Like facing the music?
Pretty much. The book gives that simple example of a client just writing down, "I hate exercise." Acknowledging that honestly was her first step toward changing things. You have to see the problem clearly first.
And part of that awareness is questioning those ingrained beliefs, like no pain, no gain.
Definitely. Or the idea that only long, punishing workouts actually count. The book points to research, like from Pantaleimon Ekakakis, showing that for many people, especially those new to exercise, high-intensity stuff, often feels unpleasant.
And if it feels bad, we're wired to avoid it.
Naturally.
Mm-mm.
Which leads to this really liberating idea. The book champions. Everything counts.
Ah, I love this one. Tell us more.
It directly counters that old myth that you need at least 10 continuous minutes of activity for it to matter. The book explains how that 10-minute rule might have been misinterpreted from earlier guidelines.
So shorter bursts are okay.
Absolutely. Newer research, especially with activity trackers, shows that even brief periods of movement add up, benefit health markers, and, crucially, give you those immediate boosts in energy and mood.
And we know sitting too much is harmful, right? So anything that breaks that up is good.
Exactly. Research like Mark Hamilton's on the dangers of inactivity reinforces that. It's about shifting away from this rigid, almost medical view of exercise, like you need a precise dose. Because life isn't like that. It's messy.
So instead of feeling guilty about not doing a full hour, we should look for ways to just move more throughout the day.
Yes, finding those hidden opportunities to move, or OTMs as the book calls them, weaving movement into what you're already doing.
Like what? Give us some examples from the book.
Oh, there are loads. Simple things like the long cut, parking further away, taking stairs, the phone moment, pacing while you talk, active waiting, walking around during kids' sports instead of sitting,
Okay.
having working walks or walking meetings, scheduling recess, actual playtime for adults, taking a soulful stroll when you need a mental break, a coffee walk instead of sitting in a cafe, finding doggy destinations that require more walking, doing little office sprint stairs, walking to a farther copier.
These sound doable, not intimidating.
That's the point. They're framed as free gifts. They don't usually need special clothes or lots of time. They fit into the cracks of your day. They add up, and crucially, they give you those immediate positive feelings, more energy, less stress, a clearer head.
It feels like it gives you permission to move in ways that feel good now.
Precisely. And that leads perfectly into the next key element. Permission. Giving yourself permission to prioritize self-care.
This feels like a big one for a lot of people. Why is it so hard to give ourselves that permission?
The book talks about caretakeritis, that feeling of being completely drained because you're always putting others' needs or endless tasks first. There's just no energy or perceived justification left for yourself. Think of Arianna Huffington collapsing from exhaustion, an extreme example, but rooted in that pattern.
And it often feels selfish, right? That "I don't have time" excuse really covers up a deeper belief I shouldn't take this time for myself.
Exactly. We see it in the stories like Aziz feeling torn between work and family obligations, or Char feeling guilty about taking time away from her child to exercise. It's a deeply ingrained societal message for many.
But the book argues this is a paradox, the self-care paradox.
Yes. The belief is that giving to yourself takes away from others. But the reality, the paradox, is that investing energy in your own well-being through self-care, like movement, actually gives you more energy, more resilience, more capacity to show up for the people and things that matter most.
Like Char realized, or Isla, who found more energy just by choosing for herself, not out of obligation.
It fuels you. And the good news is that mindset that self-care is selfish, it's learned. It's not fixed.
We can change it.
We can. The book talks about neuroplasticity. Our brains can form new connections. It even suggests exercises like pretending. Imagine, just for a few minutes, what it would feel like if your well-being was your top priority. How would you act? It helps shift perspective.
So seeing movement not as a luxury item on the to-do list, but as essential fuel.
Absolutely essential, like the roots of a tree. The book uses that great "what sustains us, we sustain" analogy. Movement is the root system, providing the fuel, energy, mood, focus, the trunk, which allows you to thrive in your roles and goals, the branches and leaves.
That connects really well to Barbara Fredrickson's work on positive emotions, the broaden and build theory the book mentions.
It does. Those good feelings you get from moving, even small bursts, they don't just feel nice. They literally broaden your thinking, make you more open and creative, and build your psychological resilience over time.
Like the client who started noticing she felt inspired after moving, and that feeling influenced her choices throughout the day.
Exactly. It becomes this upward spiral. The motivation comes from within, from the immediate positive impact it has on your ability to live your life well, right now.
Okay, so we have awareness, permission, but life still happens. Schedules get crazy, things go wrong. That brings us to the final piece. Strategy.
Right. Strategy is about developing the skills to navigate the real world, to negotiate with yourself and life's demands so that movement can actually happen consistently.
And it's not about having the perfect plan.
No, it's about shifting from rigid outcome goals, I must run 3 times this week, to learning goals. The goal becomes mastering consistency, figuring out how to adapt and keep showing up, even imperfectly. The book compares it to dating versus finding a life partner. You approach it differently when you're in it for the long haul.
And a key strategy is starting small.
Yes, strategic chunking. Don't try to change everything overnight. Like Nolan in the book, who wanted a massive overhaul but learned the power of just consistently adding 5 or 10 minutes. Small, sustainable steps build momentum.
This also involves what the book calls sustainability training, like practicing for challenges.
Exactly. It means expecting obstacles. They will happen. Your kid gets sick, it rains, work runs late. Instead of seeing these as failures that derail you, the book reframes them as opportunities.
Opportunities to learn.
To practice your negotiation skills. Like Jules missing her run, that's not a failure. It's a chance to figure out, okay, what can I do instead? Or how do I adjust my plan for tomorrow? It builds resilience.
The book lists specific negotiation strategies. Can you highlight a few key ones?
Sure. Give physical activity clout. Really internalize its value so it carries weight when you make decisions. Plan weekly logistics. Look at your week realistically and pencil in potential spots for movement. Confront challenges. Don't hide from obstacles. Anticipate them and see them as part of the process.
And that if-then planning technique.
Oh, that's a powerful one. Implementation intentions. You basically pre-plan your response to likely barriers. If it's raining when I plan to walk, then I will do 15 minutes of stretching indoors. It takes the decision-making burden off you in the moment. Hugely effective.
There's also dance with your challenges, being flexible.
Yeah, improvising. Your 40-minute gym plan gets cut to 20. Don't just scrap it. What can you do in 20 minutes? Quick walk, some bodyweight exercises. Adapt, don't abandon.
And learning to say no. That sounds crucial for protecting self-care time.
It is. Learn to say no compassionately. Protect that time you've set aside without feeling guilty or needing elaborate excuses. Just a simple, polite no can be enough.
And keeping track of how movement makes you feel. Learning the links.
Constantly. Pay attention. How did that walk make you feel immediately? Later today, how did it affect your patience, your focus? Connecting the action to the felt benefit is powerful reinforcement. Like Ari Weinzweig noticing the difference in his day when he skipped his activity. That reinforces the why.
And finally, maybe the most important one, self-compassion.
Absolutely vital. Based on Kristen Neff's research, The book stresses being kind to yourself when you slip up, which will happen. Beating yourself up just leads to shame and giving up.
Right. Well,
Self-compassion allows you to say, okay, that didn't go as planned. What can I learn? How can I adjust? And then you get back to it. Like Tanisha listening to her body and choosing rest instead of pushing through exhaustion. That's self-compassion in action. It's smart, sustainable self-care.
so putting it all together, the message from this book isn't about forcing yourself based on external shoulds or chasing distant goals.
Not at all. It's about tapping into an internal motivation. It's fueled by how movement makes you feel, physically and mentally, right now. More energy, better mood, less stress, and connecting how those immediate benefits help you show up better in the parts of your life that you truly care about.
That really comes through in Stephanie's story at the end of the book.
Oh, Stephanie's story is incredibly powerful. It shows the whole framework in action under extreme circumstances. Her meaning of exercise completely shifted. It went from being about weight loss to being absolutely essential fuel for her resilience, her ability to cope while caring for her very ill daughter.
Movement became part of her identity, part of how she survived and functioned.
Exactly. It wasn't just something she did. It was fundamental to who she needed to be in that moment. It shows how deep and sustainable this approach can be when movement truly fuels what matters most.
Exploring ideas like these, the kind we discussed today from this book, it's an ongoing process, isn't it?
It really is.
And for anyone wanting to dive deeper, maybe analyze and reflect more on this kind of material, our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments, offers those AI-powered book insights. And of course, there are more explorations on our podcasts, too.
The aim is always to offer perspectives and tools that help you build a relationship with movement that genuinely works for your life.
So maybe pause and think, how much energy are you currently spending fighting yourself? Trying to motivate yourself with reasons that don't truly resonate, that go against your own nature.
And what could you unlock? How much more energy, maybe even joy, if you shifted your focus? If you started making movement choices based on what feels good and genuinely supports your needs and values today?
It's really an invitation to change that relationship, isn't it? From obligation to opportunity.
A very powerful one.
Well, if this conversation sparked something for you, please do subscribe so you don't miss future discussions on other fascinating books.
And maybe share this with someone you know, someone who's struggling with fitness motivation or just feeling overwhelmed by it all. This different perspective might be really helpful.
You'll find a link in the show notes if you want to get the book yourself and explore these ideas more deeply.
And please, keep thinking critically about the health messages you hear. Keep experimenting. Find out what truly fuels your unique life.